Honorable former Prime Minister Fukuda, former Prime Minister Zhang Christian, Vice Chairman C.H. Tang, former Prime Minister Roman Prodi, former Secretary Gutierrez, and former USTR Hills. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening. It's my great pleasure to meet you through the video link. In 2020, we were hit by the devastating COVID-19 pandemic. The world economy was in shock, and normal production and lifestyles almost came to a standstill. 2021 is the year of the ox in the Chinese lunar calendar, and generally, it's considered a year of good fortune. I believe this also bodes well for the world and for US China relations. In recent years, Sino-US relations have fallen into an unprecedented predicament. One important reason was that the US held strategic doubts and anxieties about China believing that a rising socialist power will inevitably become a threat, and the two countries will inevitably fall into the Thucydides trap. In my opinion, it was completely wrong to approach and manage Sino-US relations with such Cold War mentality and ideological bias. This would lead to dangerous consequences. I'd like to make a few observations here. First, different social systems do not mean that China and the US will inevitably head towards confrontation. Any system or model is defined by its geographical and historical conditions. China and the US have different social systems because our people made different choices. And the people of a country are the best judge of whether the chosen path is appropriate or not. The Chinese civilization of more than 5,000 years has deeply shaped our values for many generations, such as love for peace, harmony despite differences, and love, not war. In modern times, China has been a victim of aggression and oppression, and after trial and tribulation, China has chosen the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics. This choice has proven to be fully in line with China's national interests and has been embraced and supported by the Chinese people. China has always advocated seeking common ground while reserving differences and respecting the different development paths independently chosen by the people. China has no intention of changing the US, let alone replacing it, and the US is unlikely to change China as it sees fit. The world is not a binary world, but a rich and diverse world where each has its own strengths and has its own place, where different systems can coexist peacefully and progress together. Second, the changing times has overturned the basis of the Thucydides trap argument. The background to the Thucydides trap argument is that for a long time in history, the world was dominated by economic interests, and countries waged wars and plundered land, population, food, and other resources through colonization or war to gain benefits and establish hegemony. The catastrophes of the two world wars left mankind with many scars and painful lessons, while the pursuit of peace and development and saying no to war were the common wishes of the people. With the development of technological innovation and globalizations, resources such as commodities, technology, labor, capital, and data have been able to flow at a large scale across borders, forming large market cycles and broader balance of factor distribution. And the interests of countries are intertwined and interdependent. Win-win cooperation replaces zero-sum games, and rule-based international economic competition and cooperation replace war as the main way to balance interests among countries. The existence of weapons of mass destruction, especially nuclear weaponry, has made the world form a strategic arms deference, and the mutual restraint between major powers. I believe playing with fire will be a no-winner and a very destructive game with consequences beyond our imagination. To address common challenges and promote common development, President Xi Jinping has put forward the important initiative of a community with a shared future for mankind. I believe this conforms to the characteristics and the law of international relations. China and the US should move away from this zero-sum mentality of an incumbent country against emerging powers and rather build a prosperous China-US relations with coordination, cooperation, and stability as the main tone. Third, China is a participant and contributor to the existing international order rather than a challenger or a destroyer. The existing international order was established after the Second World War. It has enabled the world to maintain peace, progress, and prosperity, which was a major feat of mankind. China has been actively participating in setting the global agenda and jointly tackling the challenges of the world. Arguably, we believe this period has witnessed the fastest and most stable economic growth worldwide and the greatest benefits for all, including China. There's no reason for us to challenge or overturn the existing system. Without doubt, we also see that the current international order has weaknesses and conditions that are not commensurate with the changing times. China advocates to reform and improve rather than start a new system. China's BRI initiative and the establishment of the AIIB are efforts to promote common development under the existing international order with more countries in accordance with the principle of joint consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. Of course, China's development brings about not threats, but opportunities to the world. China is the world's largest developing country. Its current GDP per capita is only 1/6 that of the US. With limited resources, we've been able to lift 1.4 billion people out of poverty and achieve peace and prosperity and social stability and progress. In and of itself, this is a contribution to the world, not a threat. China's development has benefited from an open world economy, and China can only prosper if the world stays good. Likewise, the world depends on an open world. Since reform and opening up, China has achieved an average economic growth rate of 9.4%, and China in 2020 was the only major economy to achieve positive growth. And China has also been the largest economic growth engine for 15 consecutive years. Speaking of China-U.S. relations, the bilateral trade has grown more than 250 times over the past 40 years, and about 2.6 million U.S. jobs are created in the process. And two-way investment has risen to almost $240 billion. More than 90% of American companies in China are making profits. In the example of Tesla, following its manufacturing investment in China, it has seen a rapid ramp up of production capacity and sales. And the production this year will likely exceed 500,000 units, almost 50% of its worldwide output. China is now developing the economy through dual circulation and with the domestic circulation as the mainstay, and with the two circulations reinforcing each other. We are looking at about 22 trillion US dollar worth of commodity trade on the import side for the next 10 years. And China's 1.4 billion population provides a huge and lucrative consumer market for the world. China has the largest and the fastest growing mid-income class. So we see a lot of opportunities in China. Ladies and gentlemen, last week, President Biden was officially sworn in, and I hope that the US can take the opportunity to change its mentality and behavior, and meet China halfway, so that we can engage rather than um, confront with each other. We can respect each other and seek common and win-win cooperation. To do that, first, we need to build mutual trust by restarting and improving the multi-level engagement mechanisms between China and the US. We should use those dialogues to play a leading role in managing our relations. And on the basis of equality and mutual respect, we should use dialogue and consultation as the fundamental conduit for addressing differences and issues. And we need to establish strong people-to-people relations and resume friendship. We should tear down walls and remove restrictions on that. We should create conducive conditions for organizations, think tanks, businesses, and peoples of China and the US to engage, to improve the bond as well as the goodwill. Second, we should reinforce mutual trust by reshaping the economic and trade relations between the two countries. The trade and commercial relations have always been the ballast and stabilizer of our overall relationships. Um, in recent years, it has suffered a heavy blow. This has hampered the interests of China and the US. Not long ago, China signed the RCEP with 14 other APEC countries. China also finalized negotiations with the EU on the Comprehensive Investment Treaty. China is also considering joining the CPTPP. This demonstrates that China is committed to structural reform and institutional openness. China and the US should uphold a positive attitude, restart economic and trade engagement on the basis of a comprehensive and objective assessment of the Phase 1 trade deal, abolish as soon as possible the high tariffs imposed mutually since the start of the trade war, remove unreasonable barriers to investment, and restart BIT negotiations. Third, we should deepen mutual trust through global governance cooperation. Humanity is in a period of great change and shift. It's also in an era of challenges and heightened risks. Some of the conventional systems may not meet the needs of tomorrow. So it's high time that we rethought on the global governance system. As the world's top economic powers, China and the US share common responsibilities and interests in areas such as COVID prevention and control, addressing climate change, poverty eradication, food security, cybersecurity, counterterrorism, and non-proliferation. We have a wide-ranging interests, common interests. So we should strengthen coordination, work together with other countries to address pressing global issues and major challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, Dr. Henry Kissinger's visit to China broke the ice and led to the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and the US, which brought profound and positive impact for the world and laid a solid foundation for the prosperity and stability of the world for 50 years till this day. Today, we are again at a critical juncture. We must have the same courage and vision to work together to open